Alright everybody, here we go. Let's go ahead and start our lesson on rounding decimals. We're going to talk about place value and ordering them as well. Now to get right to the topic here, rounding decimals, there's a rhyme that goes along with it. You might have learned this in elementary school. But you find the number you're rounding, look right next door to the number you're rounding. So you're going to look to the right. You're going to look right next door. That's the operative word right there. Look right next door. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise a score. Okay? So that may or may not make sense to you, but rhyme or no rhyme, let's go ahead and just start rounding some numbers. And actually, before we start rounding numbers, one thing that's kind of important to know how to do is to know the place values. And you may want to stop the video right now, hit pause, and then go through these place values on your own. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, and millionths. So go ahead and pause video, write those down, know your place values. A lot of people, a common mistake I see a lot from students is they go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and they think, oh, after thousandths is millions. And now we're always going by tens, basically getting a little bit bigger every time. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millions, and then if we were to keep going, it'd be 10 millionths, 100 millionths, and then you'd go back to the base. Billionths, 10 billionths, 100 billionths with a B. Trillionths with a T, 10 trillions, and 100 trillions. Okay, let's get right to work here and go over how to round. Okay, so this first one right here is round to the nearest tenth. So what number is in the tenths place? I bet you this number is in the tenths place. If you are screaming at your computer screen right now, you are correct. That is the wrong number. I should not have done that one. This one right here. Right? That's the tenths place. So we found the number. We're going to look right next door. So what's right next door to it? An 8. And then ask yourself, is it 4 or less? Is it 4 or less? Well, if it was 4 or less, it would be 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0. And it does not fit in any of those categories. Is it 5 or more? And of course it is. 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. So this 8 is going to tell this 3 what to do. So the 3 will become a 4. So the answer is 577 and 4 tenths. One thing you have to keep in mind too is that the zeros, or everything else, turn into 0. But those can just drop off since we're just dealing with decimals. Decimals don't have to have a bunch of zeros after it. Just writing 577 and 4 tenths is good enough. If you were to write a bunch of zeros, go ahead. You can write zeros forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Just keep going, going, going. But it's basically extraneous stuff. You don't really need it. Okay? So we just rounded that one to the nearest tenth. So to rehash what we just did, we found the number. We looked right next door. It was 5 or more, so we raised the score. So 577 and 4 tenths. What numbers are here, everybody? That is correct. I heard everyone screaming 0. That's right. I can hear you over the interwebs. Okay. Next one. Round to the nearest ones place. You might also see this number or this kind of problem written as round to the nearest whole. Okay, to the nearest, sometimes you might see it round to the nearest unit. That all means the same thing, round to the nearest ones place. So the number that's in the ones place is a 4, so we're going to look right next door, and when we look right next door, we have a 4 there. So that's 4 or less, so we don't make that 4 go any lower. That 4 is going to just rest. We're going to let it rest. So the answer is just 14.0. Okay? Do you need that 0 there? No. Does it make it wrong? No. So 14 or 14 and 0 tenths, I don't care. Write it any way you like, it's still right. Now this one says round to the nearest thousandths place. Okay, so let's do this together. Let's find the number that's in the thousandths place. What number is in the thousandths place? Now if this doesn't really come to you really easily, just count over. Okay, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. Now we're rounding to the nearest thousandths, so this is the place value that we're rounding. Okay, so that 0 is either going to stay a 0 or it's going to turn into a 1. Okay, so let's see what happens. So if it's next to this 0 that's in the thousandths place is next to a 6. That 6 is 5 or more, so we better raise the score. So 5 and 171 thousandths. There you go. This 6, just so you know, drops off. It turns into a 0. It's gone. We don't need it anymore. But if you were to write it there, you would not be wrong. Okay? So 5 and 171 thousandths. That's how you say it. 5 and 171 thousandths. Now this one's a tricky one to do because we have some 9s in here. Let me show you what happens here. So this one we're rounding to the nearest hundredths place. So the hundredths place is right here. It's the first 9. Now that 9 is next to another 9, which means, of course, we are going to raise the score. Okay? So that 9 is going to turn into a 10, which wouldn't make sense. We can't put a 10 there. So since we can't change that to a 10 because we can't put two values there, we have to go to the next one over. So we're gonna push that 10 over to the tenths place and raise the score on the 6. So the 6 is going to become a 7. So the answer is 5 and 7 tenths. Say that with me. 5 and 7 tenths. That's how you say it.